Hi there folks, welcome to Dunsy's Guitar World and welcome to what will probably end up being a 3 or 4 part series. The story is, during the week my friend Andy, drummer Andy, and I booked a rehearsal room. Now we're big fans of the James Gang and Tommy Bolin, and indeed Tommy Bolin when he was in the James Gang. So we thought, why don't we just have a jam and play some James Gang, some Tommy Bolin tune. So we did that. We bashed through 4 songs. We bashed through Funk, number 49, Standing in the Rain by the James Gang, those 2 songs, and Teaser and Post Toasty by Tommy in his solo stuff. And I thought, I wonder if we could record this magnificent moment for posterity. Well, I just thought, let's record it just for a laugh. And the only thing I took with me, apart from myself and my guitar and Andy, was this Focusrite 2i4. So it's only got 2 inputs. Took that down, took my laptop down with Ableton Live Lite 10, and I don't know what happened, but I could only record 2 tracks anyway, but I couldn't record them separate, so I had to record 2 stereo tracks with the drums. And what I did was I used this thing, I looked online before it to try and record with see how to record best with 2 microphones. And there's obviously the technique that Glenn Johns and people like that use, where you'd have like an overhead and then a mic over there, sort of pointing out at the snare drum. But the problem we had was I was playing guide guitar in the room at the same time, so they would have picked up far too much guitar. So I found this technique called the Wurst technique. I mean, I've heard Wurst, which is some German chap who invented this thing for, I think he was just using it to add things to a bigger drum mix anyway. But I thought I could maybe do that, so I just used a Shure SM57, as in this picture, just kind of in between the drums, all 3 drums, but mostly picking up snare. I believe it's called the crotch technique. It was pointing at Andy's crotch, so you're hearing the sound of Andy's crotch. And I borrowed an AKG P2 bass drum mic, which I put in front of the bass drum, and it turned out surprisingly well, I have to say. I mean, it wasn't perfect high fidelity sound, but in on the project is my good friend Alistair, also in the band Always Done with me, very good producer and very good singer. So Alistair has done a bit of work on the drum tracks. What I did was, before I sent them to him, changed them into just mono tracks, because as I said, they recorded onto 2 stereo tracks, and I just wanted the one mic on one track and the bass drum mic on the other track. Sent the 2 tracks to Alistair, so effectively to have 1 track with the main drums and 1 track with bass. And he's put them through various filters and processors and all kinds of magic, and it sounded good. So the plan is, Alistair will produce and sing on these. I'm going to be playing guitar. Andy has already done his great drum parts, and my friend Ross is going to play bass. He's a much better bass player than me, I can assure you of that. So let's have a listen to what it sounds like. What I'll do is I'll start off with just the setup, and you'll hear it through just the mic and the camera. Now, it's a pretty shit camera mic, so it's not great. And then I'll play the sound, just the basic sound from the 2 mics that I recorded. Then it'll go into the process sound, which Alistair has done on the drum track, and then I've added guide guitars. I even did a bit of guide bass as well. And once we get them all back, I'll fire them off to Mr. Ross, the bass player, and once we have the bass lines and all my guitar lines, I'll fire it over to Alistair in Canada, and he will do his magic on the vocals and the mixing. So let's see what it sounds like now. As I say, this is only 2 microphones in a rehearsal room. We hadn't rehearsed these songs in about the last 2 years, so it's maybe a bit rough, but I think it's ended up sounding not too bad. So the plan will be, over the next sort of few episodes, I'll put a track up and let you know where we are, and I'll try and get everyone to film their parts, and they'll end up, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll end up with 4 half decent James Gang and Tommy Bolin songs. So without any further ado, I will play through what I have at the moment and let you know what's happening. Thanks as ever for tuning in. Cheers for now.